PR Connections Radio presents.
Welcome to Vegas Hockey Hub here on PRConnectionsRadio.com, the voice of new media. I'm your host, Ian Rachiele, and on this edition of Vegas Hockey Hub Recap, where we break down every single game of the Vegas Golden Knights season, we are going to be talking about the most recent matchup that happened with your Vegas Golden Knights. So this is going to be a really good show. There's a lot of stuff to talk about and break down here on this show. So we're going to really get into it and talk about everything as the Seattle Kraken took on the Vegas Golden Knights. And it's going to be a really good show here on Vegas Hockey Hub with your host, Ian Rachiele. And it's going to be a lot of fun. There's going to be some good back and forth and stuff that happened in this matchup. And there's going to be plenty of stuff to discuss on today's show. Now, go to PRConnectionsRadio.com, the voice of new media. Check out all the amazing content we have on the network. We have about a dozen shows on the platform, including Vegas Hockey Hub. So my recommendation, go to PRConnectionsRadio.com and check out all the fantastic content we have on this network right here. If you also want to go to the social media platforms, we are everywhere at PR Connections. And if you want to follow us on social media, we are also on all major platforms at Vegas Hockey Hub. And if you also want to kick it up a notch, I also have a website where I upload articles. It's called thesportsangle.com. So if you want to support your host, Ian Rachiele, I upload articles, and that's going to be a lot of fun to talk about and all the stuff that we're really going over with that website. So go to www.thesportsangle.com and read the articles that we have on that network. So it's going to be what we're doing right now. Now, getting into this matchup and talking about what happened with this matchup, you have the Seattle Kraken. You have your Vegas Golden Knights. And it is a good back and forth situation here where, if you look at it from a 50,000-foot view, this is where you see your Vegas Golden Knights pulling out a really good effort here and getting the victory against Seattle, going into Climate Pledge Arena, and the Vegas Golden Knights doing exactly what they have to do in this game. I applaud them. They did a really solid job, and there is a lot of stuff to cover, and we are going to discuss greatly on this episode of Vegas Hockey Hub Recap, doing it here on Vegas Hockey Hub and on PRConnectionsRadio.com. Now, into the pregame notes. The Vegas Golden Knights, on behalf of the Henderson Silver Knights, they signed a former NHLer to a personal tryout agreement as a PTO as Ryan Dzingel, the former Columbus Blue Jacket, the former Ottawa Senator, the former, this guy's been in the NHL for a considerable amount of time. Well, after spending the past few years shuffling around, playing for Charlotte, playing for the Checkers, I think he was with the Chicago Wolves. He's been really kind of been bouncing around between the AHL and the NHL. Well, the Vegas Golden Knights announced that Ryan Dzingel would be joining the Henderson Silver Knights on a PTO. So with the AHL and with the remainder of the season that we have coming up, having a veteran like Ryan Dzingel in the locker room with all the young guys you have, that is a solid move there. So Ryan Dzingel, former NHLer, signed to a PTO with the Henderson Silver Knights. And I also want to say good luck to UNLV hockey. As UNLV hockey, this is the ACHA Division I championship, and I hope this goes very well for them. Obviously, UNLV taking on Adrian right now. And it's going to be really interesting to see how UNLV does in the national championship game, because this is a situation where UNLV, the Skating Rebels, they've had a fantastic season. They've gone into the tournament. They've won games. They keep winning and winning and winning. Now they're at the final game of the ACHA Division I National Championship game. So I want to say here on Vegas Hockey Hub, good luck to UNLV. I am rooting for them. I hope it goes well for UNLV in their matchup, and we're going to do a video on them on this channel. We're going to be uploading that, no doubt about it. But I will say for UNLV, good luck to them. I like what we saw from them, and I hope that UNLV ends up pulling out the victory. But we are going to be uploading that to our YouTube channel, talking about the UNLV Running Rebels, talking about what their season was like as we have been covering it, as we've been going to games. We've actually been trying to do video and record content about UNLV. So when it comes to the UNLV Skating Rebels, we are going to be uploading that to Vegas Hockey Hub sometime soon. So we're going to have that on the network. It'll be on the channel. And I'm really looking forward to talking about UNLV and discussing what they have done this season. So watch out for that video. We're going to be uploading that to the network very soon. So once again, good luck to UNLV. And let's go Skating Rebels. Yeah, let's go Skating Rebels. Now, the pregame notes, the roster moves with your Vegas Golden Knights. Now, Brett Howden, he is participating in practice. William Carrier, he's also participating in practice. Both of these guys coming back from injury as of late. You also had Alex Pietrangelo, who missed practice. And then you had Tomas Hertl, who spoke to the media. So if we break this down one by one, Brett Howden, this is a guy who has been missing a little bit. He did get banged up recently. So with Brett Howden being a middle six guy, you can put him on a second line, third line, fourth line. Regardless of where you put him, Brett Howden has done a relatively solid job in what he has been doing. But with him coming back, him participating in practice, it'd be interesting to see what Brett Howden does in the future and moving forward. But that is a good job for the Vegas Golden Knights to have him come back and participate in practice. William Carrier, this is someone who has been injury prone for majority of the year, unfortunately. But it feels like for the fourth time this season, William Carrier is back in practice. He is skating around with the team. That is good for them. And, let's face it, when it comes to the fourth line, William Carrier is a vital part of that fourth line, alongside King Kolazar, alongside Nick Waugh. He has been the cornerstone of that fourth line. All 7 seasons that the Vegas Golden Knights have been around, William Carrier has been a part of it. So it is good to have William Carrier come back to practice and participate with your Vegas Golden Knights. So I like what we've seen from him there. And William Carrier, I really hope that he can eventually, regain, get healthy again, and join the Vegas Golden Knights. We have about 15 games left. So hopefully William Carrier does what he needs to do and he gets back on the ice. Now, the unfortunate part is Alex Pietrangelo. And, I'm not going to sit here and speculate. There's a lot of speculation going on Twitter. There's people who are wondering what the situation is. Was it just an off day? Is it, a sick day? Is it something that's going on maybe because of what happened recently? We're not going to speculate on that. We're going to wait for the official update on Alex Pietrangelo, okay? We're going to wait for Kelly McCrimmon, George McPhee. We're going to wait for Bruce Cassidy, somebody who's related to the Golden Knights organization, for us to find out why he missed practice. But yes, so in the game before Seattle, Alex Pietrangelo, he did miss a practice session, and he did not skate in practice with your Vegas Golden Knights. And considering what the lineup was with the Vegas Golden Knights organization, Alex Pietrangelo, he did skate in this game alongside Noah Hannafin, and we'll go over the lineup actually a little bit later. But yeah, Alex Pietrangelo missed practice. And then Tomas Hertl, the guy they acquired at the trade deadline, him speaking to the media, that's very good for the Vegas Golden Knights. Tomas Hertl, he is the big fish now. He is someone who is doing really well in San Jose before getting injured. He is still injured, and he's coming back and talking to the media, trying to get cleared, trying to get healthy. Now, there is speculation on when he will come back. If I had to sit here and assume, I think the playoffs when he's coming back. Just like, maybe Mark Stone, maybe not. We'll find out what happens with him later on. But with Tomas Hertl, if he comes back before the playoffs, great. But if he comes back exactly at the playoffs, hey, look, you know what? Regardless of who gets mad, regardless of who gets angry, you know what? It doesn't matter. Those fan bases, they're going to be mad regardless. But Tomas Hertl, I would assume that by the playoff time, he will be suiting up for your Vegas Golden Knights. Now, the goaltender in net for tonight is Adin Hill. So Adin Hill, he would be in net playing against Seattle. And funny enough, by the way, the last time the Vegas Golden Knights faced the Seattle Kraken, a lot of people may not remember this, but I definitely do. The last time the Seattle Kraken were on the ice and playing against the Seattle Kraken was back in January at the Winter Classic. I know because I was there. And it was not Adin Hill that was in net that night. It was actually Logan Thompson. So this will be, like I said, the first game being back in Seattle since that Winter Classic matchup that we had back on January 1st. By the way, I still love the fact that I did go to the Winter Classic. I had such a fun time there, and it was such a great moment. Now, Adin Hill being in net, that is a solid move for the Vegas Golden Knights to see how he does. And then for the lineup for the Vegas Golden Knights in this matchup, here's what the lineup looked like. As you had Ivan Barbashev, Jack Eichel, and Jonathan Marchessault, that would be line one. And then you had on the second line right there, Brett Howden, he did return from practice, and you had him line up on that situation there. So you ended up having a situation where it was Paul Cotter, Michael Amadio, and Brett Howden. Then you had Pavel Dorofeev, William Karlsson, and Anthony Mantha. And then on line four, you had Nick Waugh, you had King Kolazar. So really interesting situation there when you really sit here and examine it. It is a situation where you see the lines and really see what the Vegas Golden Knights have done. Anthony Mantha coming in for the trade deadline, him being a second line winger at this point in time. So once again, you had Barbashev, Eichel, and Marchessault on line one. And then you end up having Chandler Stevenson, Anthony Mantha, and William Karlsson. You had Michael Amadio, Paul Cotter, and Pavel Dorofeev. And then Brett Howden teaming up with Nick Waugh and King Kolazar. Now, on defense, Alex Pietrangelo, even though he missed practice, he was with Noah Hannafin. And then you had Braden McNabb, Shea Theodore, and then finally Zach Whitecloud and Nick Hague as your defensive pairings in this game, Seattle versus Vegas. Now, from a 50,000-foot view, the defense has pretty much been the same since Noah Hannafin was acquired at the trade deadline. That's really not that's really not making an understatement there. On the forward side, you're really kind of seeing what Mark Stone's absence has looked like, and the fact that you now have Chandler Stevenson, you have William Karlsson, and Anthony Mantha. So you have Stevenson on that same line with Karlsson and that new trade acquisition in Mantha. And then you do have a very interesting third line because you have Michael Amadio, you have Paul Cotter, and then you have the fact that Pavel Dorofeev. So you have two young guys and then an established veteran in Amadio. And then you have that fourth line, which I really want to applaud the fact that Brett Howden back in practice skating for the Golden Knights, him being with Kolazar and Waugh. And, you know, a lot of people say the first line has been the most dependable line for the Golden Knights so far. And that's kind of an accurate statement. Ever since Jack Eichel came back from injury in the middle of February, it has been Barbashev, Eichel, and Marchessault with your Vegas Golden Knights. So that was the starting lineup. That was the lines for your Vegas Golden Knights. And getting into this game and really talking about the game here with your Vegas Golden Knights, Seattle Kraken, the puck would drop at Climate Pledge Arena. And the first period would not be a goal-scoring fest, as actually it would be 0-0 between Seattle and Vegas in the first period. But the only thing that would happen in the first period was a bunch of penalties. As about 5 minutes into the first period, Brett Howden, welcome back, by the way, slashing penalty against Oliver Bjorkstrand. He would go to the box. He actually would have to fight off a 2-minute penalty kill for the Vegas Golden Knights. And to give credit to Vegas, their penalty kill did what they had to do in this game, and they fought off this penalty. So you would be 1 for 1 on the penalty kill, fighting off that Brett Howden penalty. And, you know, as much as I like Brett Howden's game, the one negative that I do have to mention, similar to Paul Cotter in kind of a go-away situation, taking unnecessary penalties. Then, about 2 minutes later on the Seattle Kraken, a former Vegas Golden Knight, Thomas Tatar, would have a holding penalty against Brett Howden. So funny enough, Brett Howden gets out of the box, serves his 2-minute penalty, and then not even 15 seconds later, Thomas Tatar would get a holding penalty against him. So let me take that back. Brett Howden causing a penalty and getting your Vegas Golden Knights on the power play in Seattle, the first power play of the game. Now, the Vegas Golden Knights would not capitalize on the penalty. They would not get a puck against past Philip Grubauer in the first period. Not for a lack of trying, by the way. Noah Hannafin had a shot in the slot that I thought had a chance of going in, but it just went wide here on the power play. So after that power play opportunity did not execute and go in the back of the net, you would see a bunch of good action for the remaining of the first period. There was a situation in the first period where William Karlsson actually had an opportunity. It was kind of a 2-on-1 situation, and it just went a bit off. It was him, and it was also Jack Eichel, and it just did not execute there. So after that, halfway into the first period, Zach Whitecloud would have a roughing penalty. He would go to the box and would serve a 2-minute roughing penalty with Zach Whitecloud. So the second penalty of the game for Vegas put him on the penalty kill once again. And to give credit, for the second time in this game, the Seattle Kraken would not get it past Adin Hill and would stay a 0-0 game between Vegas and Seattle. So after the first period, despite the Jack Eichel opportunity with about 2 minutes left that once again just did not go in, it would remain a 0-0 first period between Vegas and Seattle. You know, I will say that when it came to the power play for Vegas, they did have some opportunities, but the penalty kill, going 2 for 2 on the penalty kill in the first period, that was a solid start for Vegas. I like what we saw from them on the penalty kill. And I kind of wish they did this more often, actually. I really wish the Vegas Golden Knights would find a way to have more execution on the penalty kill. Because there's been times that the penalty kill this season has just not executed what it needed to do. Now, getting into the second period. Okay? Getting into the second period, not even a few minutes in, the Vegas Golden Knights would get on the deficit and would go down 1-0 as Andre Burakovsky, with his third goal of the season for the Seattle Kraken, assisted by Jared McCann and Ty Carty, to be a 1-0 game for the Seattle Kraken. And, you know, for Burakovsky, this is somebody who's kind of had a down year when you actually stop and think about it. Is somebody who they acquired not that many long ago. He's supposed to be someone who's pretty solid for Seattle, but unfortunately, he has just not ended up doing that much. So when it came to Burakovsky, is someone they acquired, you know, when we stop and think about the expansion draft, and then you really think about what he has done since being over from the Colorado Avalanche. And very disappointing, I will say. He really hasn't translated what he did in Colorado. I mean, he had a season of around 50 or more points in Colorado, and then he moved over to Seattle. So overall, very disappointing on that front. But with the Vegas Golden Knights being down 1-0 here, unfortunately, just really did not do what really needed to be done. And unfortunately, it started out the second period going down 1-0. But your Vegas Golden Knights would actually capitalize on an opportunity, as about 15 seconds after the Andre Burakovsky goal, there would be a holding penalty against Brett Howden for the second time. So Brett Howden would be held by Brian Dumoulin, the former Pittsburgh Penguin, and he would go to the box, would be on the penalty kill for Seattle, a power play opportunity for your Vegas Golden Knights. And who else would execute for Vegas? Who would be the guy that if you're on the power play and you need somebody to put the puck in the back of the net, who else but a fan favorite? Who else but somebody who is very well known for executing on the power play and getting the job done when it matters? And it doesn't, by the way, the fact that he's right behind me is more convenient as well. As in the second period, 2 minutes you're on the power play. It's getting towards the end. Jonathan Marchessault, 36th goal of the season, assisted by his line mates, Ivan Barbashev and Jack Eichel. So just like that, you go from being down 1-0 in the beginning of the second period, you turn it around, and about 2 minutes later, boom, the Vegas Golden Knights are now tied it up at 1. And I really like the execution from Ivan Barbashev. This was a good setup by him. And more importantly, this is a Jonathan Marchessault who has been on a tear as of late. Jonathan Marchessault, he has been executing. He is putting the puck in the back of the net. I like what we've seen from him. So Jonathan Marchessault doing what he had to do in this game, and I appreciate that. So in the second period, once again, a goal from Marchessault assisted by Barbashev and Eichel, and that would be a tie ball game at 1-1 with your Vegas Golden Knights. Now, following a few kind of moments where it was kind of mundane, some back and forth, some passing, only other thing that I can mention is a Jonathan Marchessault shot that just went to the right side of Grubauer. Could have been his second goal of the period, but it just went wide. But you would stay at 1-1, and about 5 minutes left in the second period, you would have actually one of the youngsters help out with the Vegas Golden Knights as Pavel Dorofeev, with his 9th goal of the season, put the Vegas Golden Knights up by 1 in this matchup. So it'd be a 2-1 game assisted by William Karlsson. So yeah, Pavel Dorofeev, I like what we've seen from him. And more importantly, we are really seeing what Pavel Dorofeev is starting to do. His hustle, his energy, his vibe on the middle six. Really solid game by Pavel Dorofeev. I really can appreciate what he has been doing on the middle six. And this is somebody who you're going to have to watch long-term in the future. I will always sing the praises of Pavel Dorofeev. I am a huge fan and supporter of Pavel Dorofeev. And hopefully this is a situation where we could see him continue to grow as years go on. And I really want to see what he does the following year. I mean, next year, hopefully he continues to be an everyday starter. He plays a full 82-game season. That's what your host, Ian Rachiele, wants to see from Pavel Dorofeev. Once again, I am a big fan of what Pavel Dorofeev does on the ice. And William Karlsson, good execution there. I like the setup that we saw from him. And William Karlsson really has turned it around this season after having some very mediocre to average years over the last couple of seasons. He has definitely rebounded and stepped up over this past season. Now, at the end of the second period, the Vegas Golden Knights would be up by 1, and after a tripping penalty on Riker Evans, as he would trip William Karlsson, the Seattle Kraken would actually be on the penalty kill for the 3rd time in this game, and the Vegas Golden Knights would be on the power play. They would not execute in this situation, so the Vegas Golden Knights would end the power play in this game 1-3. So, entering the 3rd period, the Vegas Golden Knights, and this 3rd period would be kind of a Jekyll and Hyde of sorts, as not even 2 minutes into the 3rd period, Matty Beniers, the face of the franchise, based off all the jerseys that I saw in Seattle when I went to the Winter Classic, Matty Beniers, his 9th goal of the season, assisted by Thomas Tatar and Will Borgen, who I actually am a fan of as well. Will Borgen, I was a huge fan of him in Buffalo. He's a solid defenseman, doesn't get enough credit for what he does. But Matty Beniers ties it up at 2 with the Seattle Kraken. And this was just a good play by Matty Beniers. He did what he had to do, got past Aiden Hill, and would tie it up at 2 between Seattle and Vegas. About 4 minutes later, the bottom 6 would execute for Seattle, as Brandon Tanev would have his 6th goal of the season, assisted by Kyler Yamamoto and a former Vegas Golden Knight in Pierre-Edouard Bellemare. So for Bellemare, him being the former Vegas Golden Knight, someone who's still beloved, by the way, by your Golden Knights organization and the fan base here, but Brandon Tanev, 6th goal of the season, assisted by Yamamoto and Bellemare. So the Vegas Golden Knights would be down by 1. But wait, there's more. At the halfway point of the 3rd period, the Seattle Kraken would extend the lead as they actually would go up by 2. Oliver Bjorkstrand, his 17th goal of the season, assisted by Tolvainen and Gord to be a 4-2 game for the Seattle Kraken. And you know what? Yanni Gord, Bjorkstrand, Tolvainen. This is a really good, solid line for the Seattle Kraken. Doesn't get enough respect outside of probably people in Seattle. But yeah, Bjorkstrand, when they acquired him from Columbus, that was a good move there. And then they got Tolvainen from Nashville, and they got Gord from Tampa Bay. Really paying off, really solid dividends there for Seattle. But your Vegas Golden Knights would be down by 2. And it seemed like the kind of air was deflating in Vegas. It felt like the fan base in Seattle at the Climate Pledge Arena was on its feet. It was rocking. It was loud. But we're not done yet. Because based off of the final score, we went into overtime. So clearly, this would not be a done ball game. And indeed, it would not. As about 1 minute after the Bjorkstrand goal, William Karlsson, Wild Bill, with his 23rd goal of the season, assisted by the defensive pairing of Braden McNabb and Shea Theodore. And just like that, you are down by 1 now instead of 2. And William Karlsson, he already had an assist earlier in the game with the Pavel Dorofeev goal. Now his second point of the game, 1 being a goal, 1 being assist. So overall, solid job by William Karlsson in this game, doing what he had to do in this situation and to get the Golden Knights a little bit of life and get them back in this game. And then with about 1 minute left, the Vegas Golden Knights still being down by 1, they need an impact player. All right, they need somebody that's going to execute, someone who's going to step up and perform when needed. And who is that guy? Who is that one person that you need to step up and he needs to show out? Well, right behind me, as his 37th goal of the season, Jonathan Marchessault, assisted by Chandler Stevenson and Jack Eichel to put them up a 4-4 situation. And just like that, with 15 seconds left at Climate Pledge Arena, your Vegas Golden Knights would be tied at 4. So Jonathan Marchessault, a 2-goal performance in this game. And Jack Eichel, by the way, I do have to give him credit and a good amount of props. This would be his second assist of the game, but not his last point of the game. We'll get to that in a second. So Jonathan Marchessault, a 2-goal night in Seattle. Chandler Stevenson, a 1-point night, only assist of the game. And your Vegas Golden Knights would go into overtime in Seattle. At the 3-minute mark, Alex Pietrangelo would set up Jack Eichel. And with the 20th goal of the season, your Vegas Golden Knights would win 5-4. So what an excellent victory. What an incredible win by your Vegas Golden Knights. And just like that, the Golden Knights pick up 2 more points towards the playoffs. And what an incredible job there. The Golden Knights win in this situation. And for player of the game, look, I could give it to Karlsson, 2-point night. I could give it to Marchessault, 2-point night. But I have to go with somebody who had not just 2 assists, but the game-winning goal. I have to give it to the guy who did his job tonight, Jack Eichel, player of the game. What an excellent job by him, and I really applaud what Jack Eichel did in this game tonight. So, Jack Eichel is your player of the game for your Vegas Golden Knights. Now, the upcoming matchup will be in 2 days. That will be the Calgary Flames, and we will be definitely doing a recap show here on Vegas Hockey Hub with your host, Ian Rachiele. We do recaps for every single game when it comes to the Golden Knights season. So this was a really good situation. That's the win-loss record for your Vegas Golden Knights at this moment in time. Just look at it right there in all its glory. And until next time, until we get to that Calgary Flames game, we also upload episodes every single day to Vegas Hockey Hub and on PRConnectionsRadio.com, the voice of new media. And this has been a fun episode talking about the 5-4 victory that your Vegas Golden Knights did in Seattle on a Tuesday night. So until next time, I'm your host, Ian Rachiele. This is Vegas Hockey Hub. And continue watching hockey. Go support junior hockey. And go Knights. Go.
PR Connections Radio thanks you for watching this podcast. Check out more episodes of this show and our others at prconnectionsradio.com.